Hey friends, it's summertime. That means one very specific thing on my channel. It's time to share another stack. It actually is a pretty humble stack this year, not as large as last year, of my summer PD reads as a homeschool educator. Stick around with me and we'll talk all about it.
Maybe there's a version of me left that doesn't feel afraid of what comes next.
Welcome back, friends. If you're brand new to my channel, my name is Arlene with Arlene & Company. As I said before, this is my very humble, I say humble because normally I have like 3 times as money, but there's a reason to my madness. My humble PD stack as a home educator. Now with this PD, let's just get that out of the way because I got a few questions last time I shared as well. Professional development. This is typically something that classroom educators do to maintain their active license and certifications and such, and continue to educate and better their students and their growth, and just something that is required and something that has translated into my practice as well as an RN is that I have to do continuing education credits to maintain an active license as a registered nurse. Now I'm away from the bedside. I also like to not only those credits that I do for my nursing license, but I like to bring that practice of what I do as a nurse and bring that as a home educator and continue to educate myself, to grow, to have new inspirations, to have different avenues to dive into that will help shape for a new and better year. There's always improvement that can be made, and there's always something new to be learned or something to relearn again. So these are the titles that I have chosen to dive into this summer. You do know that I read throughout the whole year and share that. These are the ones that I'm focusing this year, this summer. And usually the summer reads are things that are going to help shape the upcoming school year of how I am framing things. And you know that I do a lot of DIY approach. If you missed last year's video here on YouTube, I'll link them down below. I had very huge stack. Some of them did roll over obviously to the school year, but I had a huge stack because I had a very big focus on certain things, and everything that I share is typically not homeschool specific. It is much broader stroke. I do share a lot of homeschool specific titles and I do recommend them. You know, there's a lot of great ones, nothing wrong with that whatsoever, but I like to expand my view when it comes to these type of reads. So in essence, professional development is how I am treating this as my role, my job, to teach my kiddos and to take that responsibility and ownership to continue to learn myself so I can better facilitate those direct instructions and lessons, things that are outside of the curricula, but help me deliver, adjust when needed, and things differently that I may not be seeing or even seeing that there's a lack of. So without further ado, let's get to our current summer PD read stack. Usually I pick at least one title that I am rereading because I find that it just gives me extra oomph and energy. A lot of times that would be Brave Learner by Julie Bogart, but this time because I have another title of hers that I'm diving into, I decided to reread something that I have not read since I don't know, eons. It's been a few years, but I use a lot of the resources, and I have for a few years now, from Build Your Library from Emily Cook. She has a book that she wrote and I have not read it in a while, and I don't even remember a lot of the specifics, but I do remember enjoying it, and I wanted to go ahead and pick this up. And this is A Literary Education, Adapting Charlotte Mason for Modern Secular Homeschooling by Emily Cook. So I have not read this in a while, and this was what I pick as my reread. So if you've seen my reviews either on Instagram or here, that I share a curricula flip through of several resources, level 7 being one of our favorites, 8 as well, and so on. And I also have stuff from early years and little lip bites and stuff. I really have always loved her approach to education. although do not consider myself a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, I do borrow some of the ideas and I find a lot of fruit in it. But as now, when we are at the last stretch of homeschooling into our high school days and being upper middle school and high school, I really want to hone into this a little bit more and kind of just gain new perspective. So that's why I picked this as my reread, and this is A Literary Education by Emily Cook. I will add it to my existing non-typical typical PD reads that I have category in my Amazon and my Bookshop, and I'll have that in the description box below, and you can see titles that I've shared before and including today's. The next homeschool specific one is something that I already started reading, but because of the current health challenges that we had in health emergencies and such, I had to like put a pause to it. But I purposely actually paused it because I wanted to be fully present and available to like just absorb everything I wanted to absorb, and especially when it's a Julie Bogart book, because I know that I'm gonna get a lot from it. I have reviewed every single one of her titles and I love each and every one of them. So this one was released earlier, was like a couple months ago. I wouldn't say it was in maybe I'm wrong, I can't remember, but this was sent to me for review. Help My Kid Hates Writing: How to Turn Struggling Students into Brave Writers, and this is from Julie Bogart. You guys know my whole thing with Julie. I feel that even if you don't prescribe to the whole like brave writer lifestyle, there are just so many nuggets to gain. There is so much wisdom to gain, especially if you're like type A like me and can have a tendency to be rigid, to help you let go of things and to reframe things and look at things a little bit differently. And this is again something why I love to dive into things like that. Now my oldest is I speak on this here and there. She is dyslexic, so writing is obviously not her favorite thing, so we are always trying to like reframe it and do things in a different ways so it's not as taxing. Now she has grown leaps and bounds, and actually when we did Brave Writer eons ago, the year-long writing projects, that was the first time that she was able to write like a full-on sentence, which would turn into a paragraph, to turn into a story without tears, because she was able to find her voice. And the way that Brave Writer resources have facilitated those things for us has really been something that is just a nice little marvel. It's something that I will always infuse some kind of Brave Writer into our homeschool year, because it has spilled over into not just writing, not just language arts, but multiple subjects. It's something that I hold dear to me. I am honored to have been able to have a live interview with Julie Bogart when she released Raising Critical Thinkers, and I am just so humbled to have met her, virtually met her, and because it truly has made a difference into our homeschool makeup. So Help My Kids Hate Writing. This book could be picked up even if you don't homeschool. So I really appreciate what I'm getting from it already initially, but I wanted to restart from the beginning because, like I said, we had some health difficulties and emergencies, and I didn't want my thought process to be interrupted. If you guys know, when I read these nonfiction titles or PD reads, I take a lot of notes and I share about these things. So I wanted to really fully dive into this and see, especially as we're gearing into the home stretch of the high school years, and seeing what other things I have not thought about. So I'm excited to finally finish. One was also sent to me by the publisher, and I've been hanging on to it. I started it, and again, like I said, life has been happening. So you guys know that I talk about my kiddos being twice exceptional. Both kiddos are twice exceptional. I am twice exceptional myself. So we are a neurodiverse home, and there's all these little layers in that, and we can chat about that if you send me a DM over on Instagram or such. But I never want to stop learning when it comes into this aspect and reframing my thinking and changing my perspective. So this is one of the titles that I had requested because I get like a selection of the ones that are coming out, and we get to select, and I requested to review this. This is Gifted and Distractible. Twice exceptional child, understanding, supporting, and advocating for your twice exceptional child. This is by Julie Skolnick, I want to say, I hope, which is the founder of With Understanding Comes Calm. I'm not familiar with that platform. However, this is something that grabbed my attention, especially being a 2E kiddo, gifted kiddo in the 90s, where the answers were just give her more work, or like you just fall through the cracks, or they just, you know, just throw things your direction. So, so my 2E-ness was not handled very well, and I vowed to do things differently, and I'm always learning and evolving and adapting new strategies, and not always new, but just like building from it and scaffolding. Title I'm looking forward to, because there's such an imbalance, having a child that is 2E, developmentally they may be here, but academically they may be over here, and meeting that gap in the middle could be something that it could be super challenging. It could be very other factors. My kiddos are autistic as well, so there's just a whole umbrella of different things in consideration. But it's not only about like me as a parent kind of getting some guidance into it, but I just want to have a better picture. How their brain works very unique to them. So, and this to me relates so much, like even if it's a title that is not like this is how to teach this, but this feeds into how you homeschool, titles like that. So this is Gifted and Distractible. And again, if you follow me on Instagram, that is where I share my final take on certain titles and books. When once I've read it, I do a review and share it. Hand-on strategies for supporting them, from assessing skills, anticipating triggers, which that was a huge thing that we had to learn from like very early on, to fostering resilience and connection, and provides worksheets for collaborating effectively with teachers and other professionals. And so if you're reading this as a homeschool teacher, collaborating with yourself, friends. But sometimes your students, especially if you're older, they have other teachers too, because you outsource certain title. And you guys know I always have like this not very non-specific to education or even parenting, but as a whole, because like yes, I see this as this is my job. I've chosen this path to home educate my children, and I take it as a job. It's a physical job to me. You may not see it that way, but it's also a lifestyle that we've chosen. And with that lifestyle, there's all kinds of triggers and stressors and things like that. So it affects everything, and it's definitely going to affect our homeschool journey. So this title, I have chosen, this was also sent to me for a review. It really was calling me in this current season of time. And it said, The Problem with Being a Person, How an Existentialist Philosophy Can Ground Us in Modern Chaos, by Talia Pollock. I just was really drawn to this, the problem with being a person. If there was like awards for titles of books, this would like gain a lot of points for me. I just really love this premise. I have no idea what really to expect from it. I just know that I'm looking forward. I really don't know what I'm going to think about this book, but it was just something that I felt like, when we work with us, like you work with you, and I always have a title like, let's work with me so I can be a better person for you too, and for me. So that is this title. I don't know what I'm going to get from this. I don't know if I'm going to even like it, but that is what I have. The next book I actually just ordered, and I'm really excited about it, but I have not gotten in, so I actually printed a picture to show you. And this is The Heart of Fiction by Kate Roberts. It is reading for character, theme, and craft. Now in this book, and this is written with a classroom teacher in mind or a classroom setting in mind, but you guys know I do not shy away from those titles because I find them easy to translate, or most of them are easy to translate. But in this specific title, you are really learning or learning again or more of how to teach your child or your students to read independently, and how to analyze character themes, craft the author's craft, and really to those close reading marks, and how to really fall in love with the art of reading fiction, and just developing that skill. So that really grabbed my attention. This is one that I've seen a lot in the classroom teacher circle, and I really wanted to dive into this. So this is The Heart of Fiction by Kate. I had something that is prepping me for specific curricula or resource as I'm doing a DIY hodgepodge of things. And I know this is going to be familiar to a lot of you, but I grabbed the actual book. This is an old title. I got it from Thrift Books. This is reading, we've seen the curricula of it, which I have shared. If you go into my Instagram, there's a highlight that says free toolbox. I share basically years of research that I have found, that I have personal experience with, of resources that are free, especially for the middle and high school stage, but they also, most of them offer for early elementary and even younger than that. So one of the things that I was honing in on with the Reading Like a Historian curricula, this actual book title, and this is Reading Like a Historian, Teaching Literacy in Middle and High School History Classrooms. This is obviously the Common Core line, and this has a lot of the breakdowns per section. So to me, this is kind of curricula prep. But there's a lot of self-teaching elements to this, so I included this in my PD read stack because I wanted to really dive into this and study it. Again, if it's for me, if it's a PD read, I am taking a lot of notes and I'm adapting things. So this fit the bill for that, outside of just normal curricula read and stuff like that. So there's a lot of for example, tools, springboards to research, identify your source, analyzing and corroborating sources, and there's a lot of templates for that, but then there's a lot of breakdowns per of what you're looking. So for example, it says Reading Like a Historian helps teachers use textbooks creatively and provides a wealth of ideas of how historical instruction can enhance students' skills and reading comprehension. So this is basically their how-to title. So again, I found it on Thrift Books, and I'm excited to, I've already started this, but I'm excited to dive in a little deeper. You guys know how I love to just translate things. That's it, friends. That is my humble stack for this summer. The reason I do not have more titles is because the nature of how our curricula picks and things are gonna go for this upcoming school year, there is quite a bit of DIY in there. There is some things that are just okay, here's the curriculum, like math, you already know what that's gonna be like. But there is a lot of DIY of pieces together, and because of that, that means I have a lot of prep work to do this summer that I've been working on. I've been writing the syllabus, I've been writing breakdowns, I've been writing outlines for units and things like that, and breaking it all down so it moves smoothly throughout the years, and I'm not just trying to where am I grabbing from this, and just being really organized, because if you're gonna piece things together, you really need to be organized about it. And because of that task that I have taken on, unless I change things, which I may very well, I still got time before first day of school. I have a lot of prep work to do. So my stack, it is smaller than it normally would be. Let me know if any of these titles grabbed your attention, or if you have a specific book that you are reading for your self-education, or maybe you're just enjoying some kind of fiction, which you guys know I have a lot of those as well. Let me know in the comments down below. What are you diving into this summer? Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna go back to the ocean, wherever I am when you're watching this. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.